Hello again, it's Noob, and well, you might have seen in a recent video a little preview of some prototype picks from a company called Subtle Digs, who are based in the US, and I believe that they only currently ship within the US. And this is another thing that Subtle Digs sent me to have a look at, and this is an emergency or credit card pick set. And there you go, that's what it looks like. Now obviously this is designed to maybe fit in a wallet, maybe even inside this little oversleeve, which is actually quite nice. And they've currently got these on their website for $25 US, not including shipping, and they're doing a limited run of 50 of these just to see how they go. Just by looking at this, I really do quite like the look of it. I like this sort of like miniature skeletonized pattern that they've got in here. The pick profiles, what have we got there? We've got a snake rake, always like a snake rake. A short hook, always nice to have a short hook in here. It's by far the most used profile of mine anyway. And a bow guitar, who doesn't like a bow guitar? You have a tension tool here and what looks like a bypass knife. So I think what I'll do is I'll pop these out individually. I won't do any finishing on them, and they don't look like there's any sort of tumbling or anything to take away some of the rough edges on here. So I imagine they're going to come out a little bit sharp, but we're going to see how they work in a situation where you just need to have a lockpick, something, just something you've been carrying around in your wallet, and just see how they perform. So I've never actually taken any of these tools out of one of these emergency pick sets before. I imagine they need to be held in relatively tightly so they don't come out in your wallet. But wow, yeah, I don't know what steel they're using, but it's actually pretty strong because it's only held on just by those 2 points. I'm just trying to bend it back and forth to fatigue the metal so that it comes off nice and easily, and I think that's coming out. There we go. There we go. And there you are. So they were actually held in quite nicely. Actually, the trade-off is always how easy are they to get out versus do you want them to just fall out? And yeah, I thought they were held in pretty well. I do quite like that. I wouldn't want them to come loose just by accident. So yeah, that's okay. What should we look at first? I reckon this little bypass knife. The reason being is because I just haven't seen one of these inside one of these credit card lockpick sets before. Now, when would a little bypass knife like this be useful? I suppose if you were trying to just quickly bypass a cheap lock where the pawls are not shielded from being accessed through the keyway. What you're going to do is you're going to push this up through the keyway, turn it slightly anti-clockwise, and then angle it so that you are pushing on this part there of the pawl mechanism, and you will retract it. Keep the pressure on the pawls by pulling on the shackle. Do the same from the other side and angle it up again slightly clockwise, and we should be able to, by doing that, move the pawls out of the cutaways in the shackle and get an open. So let's try it. Going to go down the pins first, just like this, straight down, angle up, and put some pressure on. You might have to do this a couple of times to walk the pawl out of the lock, but it is possible to do. And then once you think you've done it, you turn it around, try and keep that shackle pressure on, and then you do the same, just angle it up, move the pawls out of the way, and if you have to go back the other side and just there you go, engage with that pawl mechanism again to pull it out of the way, you can do, and just keep going until you've walked them completely out of the keyway and you'll get an open. Is it easy to do? Well, it's easier with a longer handle, so you can hold this in your hand. It gives you a bit more leverage. Is it possible to do with a short little knife that you hold in a credit card set? Yeah, absolutely it is. And like I said, it just involves, well, technique, I guess. The more you practice doing a bypass with a bypass knife, the much easier it will be when you scale down to a smaller bypass knife like this. Next up, let's look at the snake rake and this flat L wrench or tension tool. Pretty reasonable profiles there. You know, I can't really complain about them for what they are. They're obviously going to be small, but in the hand, but reasonable. So just going to take a typical laminated padlock. There are many different brands, but you know, you see this type of lock all about. So it's a pretty reasonable lock to give it a test against, just because it's very typical. And just going to get that tool in there. These are, I think, in 32 thousandths of an inch, these tools, and it looks like I've already got an open. Yeah, there we go. So very effective rake there. Next, let's try and do some single pin picking with this little short hook here. It's quite a nice short hook. I do like the fact that there is a short hook in this kit, because it's by far the most useful profile in my opinion. Going to use just another very common lock. There you go. These, like I said, these picks are in about 32 thousandths of an inch, so you're going to want to have a wide keyway for some of these. And we're open. There we go. And lastly, we're just going to do some hybrid picking with this actually quite nice bow guitar profile and that short hook again. And we're going to be using a slightly harder lock, a pretty typical Euro lock, 6 pins. It's got some spool pins in there. It's a pretty typical lock with that you find all over the place, with a paracentric keyway, and just give these picks a bit more of a workout. So here's the lock in the vise. You can see the key, pretty nice bitting actually. It's not too bad, at least. Like I said, just trying to find some typical locks for this video. Nothing too exotic, just your run-of-the-mill commonly found locks. And just going to put some bottom of the keyway tension, put very light tension as we rake with the bow guitar. I'm going to go in and we're going to just try to rake those pins until we get into a false set, and I believe that we're already there. Then we're going to go in with the short hook and see if there are any pins that need to be picked, and pin 1 does. Oh, and we got an open. So there we go. We explored some fairly typical locks with this like emergency pocket pick set. And what conclusions can we give? Well, one, I actually like the design of the tools. I actually like the profiles that you get as well. I think that they are well tried, well tested, and well thought out. Naturally, with any pick set like this, you're working with much smaller tools. You'll get different feedback. It helps if you're an experienced picker, genuinely, to use a set like this, and you will have that compromise of the lack of feel that you get with and manipulability, if that's even a word, with smaller picks and tools like this. Overall, I actually quite like it. I actually think it's nice and better than a lot of pocket pick sets or credit card pick sets like this that I've seen around. Are there any constructive comments that I can give? Well, you can see I've arranged the picks like this, and that's because whilst I haven't got any problem with any of the profiles in here, I'm greedy. I would maybe like some more. If I overlay this, you can see how I've arranged them. I could probably get an extra tension tool, maybe an extra tension tool and a pick inside this if everything's just compressed a little bit more. I think having more than one tension tool would certainly be a bonus. The only other comment I'd give is that, and just take one of these picks as an example, is yes, I know you're not going to use these very often. Yes, you're going to use them in an emergency, but you know, they are quite sharp. If there could be anything done to just round off some of the edges while it's still in the holder, the card outline, I don't know what you want to call it, that would certainly go. It would certainly be appreciated if you're going to do another run of these subtle digs. I think that just finishing them off a little bit while they're still on that card would certainly help when you do actually come to use them. As you can see, they're all quite effective. They are in quite a thick steel, 32 thousandths of an inch. Clearly, in the range of locks that I used today, they were fine. But if you're using some really small or tighter keyways, I think that you may end up wishing that they were a bit thinner. I think for picks, somewhere around 25 thousandths of an inch is good. But again, you're trying to trade off with these much smaller picks in a holder like this, something which is robust enough that it doesn't flex and pop out your picks. So I get that there is a bit of compromise there as well, as is with all of these credit card picks. Anyway, so Subtle Digs do have some of these still left on their webpage from what I could see. So if you're interested, I've left a link in the description. Go over to their website and just check them out. Alright, I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you all next time.